Mark Fisher's Capitalist Realism, Is There No Alternative?, presents an awakening critique of contemporary neoliberal capitalism, arguing that the ideology of capitalism has now become so pervasive and inseparable from history that it is now seen as the only viable system, making it the only possible future. Fisher explores how capitalism extends beyond the economic sphere, influencing culture, politics, and individual subjectivities. He introduces the concept of capitalist realism, which refers to the widespread belief that there is no alternative to capitalism, and critiques how this belief stifles political imagination and reinforces the status quo. Fisher opens his analysis by discussing how capitalism has become deeply ingrained in all aspects of life. The idea that there is no alternative has become so dominant that it shapes our understanding of the world, limiting our ability to conceive of a different system. Capitalism is not just an economic model. It is an all-encompassing ideology that affects how we think, behave, and interact with one another. This pervasiveness is maintained through cultural institutions, media, and even education, all of which promote capitalist values and suppress critical thought that could challenge the system. The capitalist system, according to Fisher, has a remarkable ability to absorb and neutralize opposition. Even when capitalism is criticized, it often leads to reforms that strengthen the system rather than dismantle it. For example, environmental concerns are addressed through market-based solutions like carbon trading, rather than questioning the capitalist logic of endless growth that underpins environmental destruction. Fisher's analysis draws heavily on Marxist theory, particularly the concept of ideology as a tool for maintaining the dominance of the ruling class. He argues that capitalist realism operates through what Louis Althusser called ideological state apparatuses, institutions like schools, media, and cultural industries, that serve to naturalize capitalism and make its alternatives seem unrealistic or undesirable. In popular culture, for instance, capitalism is often portrayed as inevitable or even desirable, with success stories of entrepreneurs and corporate leaders glorified as the pinnacle of human achievement. This cultural reinforcement of capitalist values helps to maintain the system by shaping our desires and aspirations, encouraging us to conform to capitalist norms rather than challenge them. One of the most insidious effects of capitalist realism, Fisher argues, is its impact on our individual subjectivities, essentially how we see ourselves and our place in the world. Under capitalism, we are encouraged to define ourselves primarily as consumers, measuring our worth by our ability to purchase goods and services. For example, we might feel pressure to buy more modern smartphones, not because we need it, but because society equates owning it with success. This consumer identity is reinforced by advertising, social media, and peer pressure, making us internalize the idea that our value is tied to what we own rather than who we are. Moreover, capitalist realism promotes the belief that personal success is the result of individual effort within the capitalist system, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy or failure when we struggle to meet its demands. For instance, if someone faces financial difficulties or job insecurity, capitalist realism suggests that this is due to personal shortcomings rather than systemic issues like economic inequality or the lack of social safety nets. This internalization of capitalist values shapes our desires, goals, and self-perception, often leading to stress, anxiety, and alienation. One of Fisher's most compelling arguments is the link between capitalism and mental health. He contends that the pressures and demands of living in a capitalist society contribute to widespread mental health issues like depression and anxiety. These problems are often treated as individual or biological issues, but Fisher argues that they are in fact symptoms of the broader social and economic system. The neoliberal emphasis on competition, individualism, and personal responsibility exacerbates feelings of alienation and helplessness, as people are made to feel that their struggles are their own fault, rather than the result of systemic issues. Fisher critiques the way mental health is depoliticized under capitalism, with the focus placed on therapeutic or pharmaceutical solutions rather than addressing the root causes of distress. By framing mental health issues as personal failings, capitalism obscures the fact that these issues are often a response to the stresses and contradictions of living in an exploitative system. Fisher is deeply critical of the left for its failure to provide a coherent alternative to capitalism. He argues that much of the left has become complicit in the maintenance of capitalist realism. By abandoning the project of constructing a viable alternative to capitalism, instead of challenging the system, many on the left have accepted its basic premises and focused on reforms that do not threaten the underlying structures of power. This crisis of the left, Fisher argues, has left a vacuum in which capitalist realism thrives. Without a clear vision of an alternative, capitalism continues to be seen as the only option, no matter how dysfunctional or destructive it may be. Fisher calls for a revival of utopian thinking and the development of new political imaginaries that can break free from the constraints of capitalist realism and offer real alternatives to the current system. Mark Fisher's Capitalist Realism challenges us to rethink the inevitability of capitalism and to recognize the ways in which this system limits our ability to imagine and create a better world. He highlights the importance of challenging the ideological dominance of capitalism and collectively reclaiming the political imagination that has been stifled by capitalist realism. Fisher leaves us with a crucial question: is there really no alternative to capitalism, or have we simply forgotten how to imagine one? We have been the Left Library, and this has been Political Theory Simplified. If you have enjoyed this video, we encourage you to read Capitalist Realism by Mark Fisher to gain a deeper understanding of the powerful ideas discussed here. Thank you for watching, and let's continue to learn and grow together.